With just a few days to go until Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes hits theaters, I wanted to go over my final predictions about what I expect to see from the movie and also give my thoughts on what some of you all think will happen as well. If you like what I do here and want to show your support, be sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things Apes. Enjoy the video. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Ape Nation, your #1 source for all things Planet of the Apes on YouTube. My name is Josh, and today I'm giving my 5 final predictions for what I think will happen in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. In addition to my own thoughts, I also put up a post earlier asking all of you for your predictions, and so later in this video I will be going over what you all had to say and briefly giving my thoughts on your thoughts. So without further ado, let's just dive right into my first prediction for what I think is going to happen in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Prediction number 1. Noa is unrelated to anybody we know, at least in this movie. I don't think Noa is going to be related to Caesar. I don't think he's going to be related to Koba. I don't think he's going to have any connection to any of the characters from the previous trilogy, at least for now. I do think there is a chance that that is something that could be revealed in the next movie, kind of a Luke, I am your father, Empire Strikes Back kind of reveal situation. But until the next movie, I think Noa is just going to be Noa. I think he's going to be his own character. And I think that mainly because I really just believe that Westball and the writers all just want this character to stand on his own. They don't want people comparing him to Caesar. They don't want people trying to connect too many dots, at least at this point. They want to let him stand on his own and let people fall in love with him on his own merits for the first film. Now in the next film or the third film or however many more they make, that could change. They could reveal something else about him. Maybe he is Caesar's great descendant or something like that. But for now, I truly believe that Noa is going to be completely unrelated and is going to be, for lack of a better term, a nobody. So that is my first prediction. Prediction number 2. There will be references to space exploration and teases of potential astronauts, but no actual astronauts or space travel will be in the movie. I definitely think, at least if you look at the trailer, there's already hints of looking into a telescope and looking up at the sky and stuff like that. So I think we're going to get some references even beyond that and, teases of things that could come in the future as far as astronauts traveling to the future and landing on the Planet of the Apes. But for now, I don't think we're going to see anything to do with that in this movie. Just like with Noa being revealed to be somebody else, maybe it could happen in the next movie or the third movie or something like that, but for now I don't think that's something that they're going to explore. I think it's going to be limited to little teases, little references, possible things that could allude to something to come, but for the time being I think this is going to be a space and astronaut free movie, aside from some references and teases. Prediction number 3. Proximus Caesar will not die and will have a role to play in future movies. This is kind of both a prediction and a hope. I think that Proximus just seems like such a fascinating character, and I hope that they don't kill him, just because, for one, it would be interesting for them to not do that with this trilogy. You look at the Caesar trilogy, and all 3 of those movies had different antagonists. You had Jacobs / Tom Felton's character from the first movie. In Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, you had Koba. In War for the Planet of the Apes, you had the Colonel. And as much as I do really like most of those characters, I thought they were all good villains, I think it would be really interesting if this trilogy did something different, kind of following in the footsteps of the original Star Wars trilogy with some of the tropes and that kind of Joseph Campbell storytelling that it's playing with. I think to have a villain that's carried over through all 3 movies would be a really interesting and different way to go, and it would be something that the Apes movies have never done before, and I think that would be a nice change of pace. Proximus Caesar is just such a fascinating character, at least on the surface. I haven't seen the movie yet, but it would be, I think, almost a shame to just discard of him in this first movie, but we'll see. I would love to see him continue, but maybe I'll feel differently when I'm actually watching the movie, so who knows. But for the time being, I do think that Proximus will not die. I do think they're going to save him for later movies, and I think they are going to potentially set that up in this movie. Prediction number 4. Raka will die. And if not Raka, I think there's an outside shot of maybe Suna or Anaya. But deep down, I really believe that if there's any character that's going to die along this journey, it's going to be Raka. Now, the more basic reason I believe this is just because when you look at the trailers, he's not in any shots that are at the kingdom. He's not in any shots that look like they're from the second half of the movie. Maybe the stuff that we're seeing from him is in the second half of the movie, and I just have some things wrong in my own head and my own interpretation of what we've seen. But just judging from everything we've seen so far, and also just the character he's playing very much lends himself to that older, wiser mentor figure. It just seems like that's how those characters go. They end up dying. And also, like I mentioned in my trailer breakdown for the last trailer, there is a scene of him taking up a piece of a tree and going after two apes, and I'm wondering if that is a scene where he sacrifices himself or something. So I'm not 100% certain, but if I had to put money on any character dying in this movie, Raka would be the one. I think it is most likely, but not 100% certain. So again, we will see. And my fifth and final prediction is about Freya Allan's Mae, and it is that I do not believe that by the end of this movie, she will be Noah's ally. I think there is going to be something that happens in this movie, whether it's towards the end of the movie or not. I think at some point in this movie, Mae and Noah will go their separate ways. Maybe I'm completely wrong. It seems like something that is very likely to happen. I think that with all the information we've gotten about Mae and everything that we've seen from her so far and everything we've learned about her, and they continue to tell us that she has this secret agenda, she has this secret mission that she's trying to achieve. And I just don't know if I see her doing that with Noah as an ally, with any ape as an ally. And I do wonder if maybe she's using him and using the apes in this movie to get where she needs to go and get what she wants. This is complete speculation based on what I'm seeing in the trailers and what they've told us about the movie so far. But I think there's a real shot that by the end of this movie, these two are not friends, or at least they are not together as allies in any way and are going along on their separate paths. So we will see what happens with that. But those were my 5 final predictions for what will happen in this movie. Now, I'm going to turn over to what you guys had to say, and I'm going to read off all the comments that you guys left, and I'm going to give my brief thoughts on what I think of what you guys had to say. I think the scene of the ape funeral in the teasers is meant to be the beginning of the movie that shows the apes one last bow to their leader. I think it's possible. Truthfully, I haven't really given much thought to the funeral shot that we've seen in the trailer because we've only gotten like 2 or 3 shots of it, but maybe, it could be. I don't know which leader you're talking about. Maybe you could be talking about, maybe it's Caesar's funeral from the end of war, and then they fast forward 300 years in the future, and now we are where we are. That's definitely a possibility, so I could be okay with that. That'd be really cool. I don't know if that's how they're going to open it, but if it is, I think that'd be a great way to open the movie. I think Noah and Mae are going to meet when he catches her stealing a horse. The audience will probably hear her speaking before Noah does. As for the horse thing, I think it's possible. It's definitely a possibility. I don't think we've seen when they actually meet for the first time. We've seen one of their earlier interactions by the fire, but we haven't seen, I think, their actual first interaction, at least as far as I know. So I don't know about the stealing the horse thing. As for when we're going to hear her, I don't think so. I think we've already seen the first time that we hear her, and I think it's the scene that they revealed where she says her name. But I could be wrong about that. Who knows? I overall just hope the film matches the reboot trilogy in the amazing writing to create a truly modern take on Planet of the Apes. Can't wait to see the ape civilization and Proximus Caesar. I'm so excited for. This is just a huge fan wake too, but imagine if a post-credit scene showed a ship crashing down or something. That would be crazy. I do agree that would be crazy, but I don't think that's going to happen. Again, at least not in this movie. I think there is a chance we see something like that, but probably wouldn't be until at least the 3rd movie, maybe the end of the 2nd movie. I don't know. And I also don't think it would be a post-credit scene. These movies don't do post-credit scenes, and I'm very thankful that they don't, because personally, I'm more than tired of post-credit scenes, but that's just me. But if they do that, I think it would be actually in the movie, like towards the end of the movie, an actual scene. So we'll see about that. It'd be interesting if they reveal that Proximus is Caesar's descendant and Noah is Koba's somehow. That way it won't appear like Caesar's bloodline is just born endowed strong leadership and moral qualities. It could also play into the idea of a kingdom if Proximus is Caesar's descendant. In human history, there have been kingdoms with great kings that had descendants that seem to have polar opposite qualities. Just an idea though. No, I really like that idea. I like your thinking behind it too. The one thing though that I think kind of throws a wrench in your idea, and maybe they could retcon this possibly, but just being fully technical about it, Koba and Caesar are not the same exact species of chimp. Koba is a bonobo, whereas Caesar is just a chimpanzee, and as we've seen, Proximus Caesar is a bonobo, so if he was related to anybody from the original 3 movies, it would be Koba, not Caesar, and same goes for Noah, and he would be related to Caesar. But like I said, I do like that idea. I like that idea of playing with the expectations and changing it up, and that difference in ideology right there. I think that'd be a really cool way to go. So we'll see. One of my crazier ideas is that Malcolm is Mae's father, not ancestor, father. Suspended animation would be how he's alive. Almost certainly won't happen, I know. I would just like someone who knew Caesar to tell Proximus he's not Caesar. I like where you're going with the whole wanting someone who knew Caesar to talk to Proximus idea. I do like that. I think that would be a really cool way to go, but I don't think they're doing that. I think there's next to no chance that any character from the original trilogy will be frozen in time or suspended or sent through space or anything like that. I don't think anything like that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to see any characters directly from the original 3 movies. So, but I do like the idea. I like where you're going with it as far as Proximus angle though. Proximus Caesar and the flood, I think you mean to say rising up. What if he used it for something to wash out everything or the humans? Because in the scene he says pull. I think that's possible. I think him using that water as some kind of weapon in that way is possible. I don't know for sure, but it's an interesting idea. We could see something like that happen. I've seen a theory that Mae was one of the astronauts from the spacecraft in Rise. I felt dumb for not thinking of that earlier. You don't need to feel dumb. You're not at all the first person who suggested that. That's been the theory about this movie since the first trailer came out back in November. I don't think that's going to happen at all. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see any astronauts. We're not going to see any people coming from out of time. I know that's the popular theory. Everyone wants to believe it's true, but for multiple reasons, I just do not believe that we're going to see that happen. I have my own theories about where Mae is going to come from and ideas about what could be her reasoning for being intelligent and wearing the clothes that she does. I don't think at all that they're going to make that connection. I think that spaceship is going to come into play at some point, just not in this movie. Since it appears Proximus Caesar seems obsessed with human technology, during the climax he'll try and use that stick and get electrocuted and die. I don't know about that, but it's definitely possible. I think at this point in the story, at least from what we've seen, he's probably smart enough and used enough human technology that he would know how and how not to use that in order to avoid getting hurt. But, you know, anything's possible. But I don't think we're going to see that happen per se. I feel like that the beginning of the movie is going to show us the funeral of Caesar because of this one particular shot in one of the trailers. And then it have Maurice saying his name will be remembered. And then it cuts 300 years later showing us Noah and how his journey begins. Or it could begin by showing Mae going in the Icarus spaceship during Rise timeline during 2016 when it all started. Then she wakes up in 2328. I don't know, overall hype. I agree, overall hype. That's a really interesting idea for how the movie could open. It's very similar to what someone said earlier about it could open with Caesar's funeral and then it cuts 300 years in the future. That's definitely an option. I think that'd be a really cool way to open the movie. I don't know if they will do that. Truthfully, I don't think we're going to see any characters. I don't think we're going to even touch that time period. But if that is how the movie opens, it'd be really, really cool. And also it'd just be nice to see those characters one last time again before we move on. With Mae going into the Icarus spaceship, again, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think there's a basically 0% chance that happens. But like I've always said, I could be wrong. It will be a final fight. At the end, during the fight, Noah and Proximus will see what looks like a meteor falling from the sky, but it's actually the Icarus that went missing in the first movie. Mae is an underground scavenger, by the way, who lives with her dad. I don't know. I don't think that's really what's going to happen, truthfully. Like I keep saying, we're not going to see the spaceship in this movie. I don't think we're going to have any actual reference to that specific ship. It could be, but I really just highly doubt we're going to have any connection to that first spaceship in Rise at all. And as for Mae being an underground scavenger who lives with her dad, that's actually more along the lines of what I think is the case. I don't think she's coming from another timeline. I think she's just part of another sect of humans. He lives with her dad, who I actually think that's probably who William H. Macy's character is, but it could be another actor. I don't really know. But I've had a suspicion that that's who he's playing for a while now. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think you might be onto something. I think her being maybe not an underground scavenger per se, but I think she definitely lives with her dad or her family of some kind in another part of the world where there are humans that are still smart and retained their intelligence. So we'll see. Here's a crazy prediction. Andy Serkis makes a cameo in the film. He will play one of the humans in the hunt scene. Not a crazy prediction, actually. I actually think there's a good chance that happens. I don't know about exactly him playing one of the humans in the hunt scene, but I think Andy Serkis making a cameo in this is actually a very high possibility. You definitely could be onto something. I think him making a cameo in this film in some capacity is definitely possible, so we'll see. Noah becomes king and Proximus is exiled. I don't know about Noah becoming king. I think we're too early in this story for something like that to happen. That could be something that happens towards the end of the trilogy, but we'll see. As for Proximus being exiled, that I think is actually very, very possible and actually pretty likely. I think something like that, or at least him going off on his own or something like that. I think if he doesn't die in this movie, then I think him being exiled from the kingdom is 100% something that could be happening. So yeah, I actually think that's a pretty solid prediction. Noah is a descendant of Caesar. I've gone over this already. I don't think he's going to be a descendant of Caesar, at least not in this movie, like I said, but it's always possible. I could be wrong about that. Although I think that Mae isn't an astronaut, I think that one of the other humans we see her with could be connected to them. That's definitely possible. I don't know. It's entirely possible, but again, I just don't think we're going to see any astronauts in this movie. Now, we could meet someone who's an astronaut, but not know they're an astronaut in this movie. Maybe we find out in the next one that they are, but I really just don't think, like I've said multiple times now, I just don't see that happening. I don't think we're going to have any major connection to the astronauts or that spaceship from Rise. I think when it comes to the character of Mae, she is either A, part of a colony of humans who have been living in bunkers immune to the simian flu, B, she is related from the astronauts from Icarus. I 100% am with you on A. I think you're totally off it with B. I think being part of a colony of humans who've been living in bunkers and are immune to the simian flu, that is my guess for where she's coming from. Again, I get why fans want to see the astronauts, but I just do not believe we're going to see it in this movie. I also believe, despite whatever small story hints they drop that will be picked up by future films, that this is still a contained story with a beginning, middle, and an end. I think it will end in a way that, if this is sadly is the last Ape film we'll ever get, it will be a satisfying ending. I absolutely cannot wait. I can't wait either. And I actually agree with you there. I think this will end in a way where it is a standalone film, but it still opens the doors for where things can go in the future, which I think is the best way to approach any movie, really, in any franchise. But I definitely agree with you there. I think that is how this movie will play out. I predict there are going to be 0 guns in this movie. I actually completely agree with you. Notice we have not seen any guns in any of the trailers. I think that there is a possibility that towards the end, maybe someone discovers a gun in some way, but I actually think you might be on the money here, and I think that we may not see any guns at all in this movie. Obviously, we know that apes are going to have guns in the future, at least if they are driving towards that original 1968 movie and are going to eventually emulate it one day. But for the time being, no, I actually agree with you. I think we're not going to see any guns in this movie. The movie will end with Noah and Mae going on some quest. That I don't agree with. I actually think the polar opposite. I think maybe Noah is getting ready to go on some next bigger quest, but I think Mae, by the end of this movie, is not going to be with Noah. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really don't think that that's how it's going to end. But we'll see. Now, with the final trailer showing that Noah seems to meet Raka and he has that necklace, maybe Raka is a descendant from Caesar's clan, or maybe Noah has a connection and Raka knows something about it. Also, Noah and his mom seem to be looking at the bridge from the first movie, so their clan can't be too far from where Caesar's started, so maybe there's a connection there, unless that scene is from the end of the movie. So for Raka and being a descendant of Caesar's clan, that's definitely possible. Maybe he's a descendant of Maurice or a descendant of just one of those other orangutans in his clan. I don't know, but the necklace, I'm very curious about where the necklace comes from, how it's going to be explained, how it's going to be used, if it's used much at all. I think you might be onto something. I think that their clan probably isn't very far from where Caesar's clan started, because it definitely seems like it's in that same area in San Francisco, so we'll see about that. I haven't really given that much thought to actually where it's taking place, but it definitely seems like they're sticking with that part of the world, and I wonder if we're ever going to branch out from that, but we'll see what happens. It's not a prediction, but it would be kind of interesting to have Proximus Caesar reveal to Noah that him and his apes have redeveloped a rifle. Some, but few, Mayans in Mexico make their own rifles for hunting using spare parts from car scraps and other material, so it would be interesting to see an ape make one the same way. That is definitely something that could be really interesting. Like I said, I don't think there are going to be any guns in this movie, but if we do have guns, it will be probably handled in a way similar to what you're saying. It would be some kind of reveal. I don't know if it'll actually be exactly how you're talking about it, with being similar to the way that the Mayans in Mexico and all that kind of stuff, but I definitely think that if there are guns in this movie, it will be saved for some reveal towards the second half or end of the movie. I hope the funeral scene is actually Caesar and then jump cut to the current time. Yeah, actually, that I've talked about it before, but yeah, that would be a really cool way to open the movie. And also, it would be a great way to catch audiences up who either have forgotten about the last 3 movies or haven't seen them. So yeah, I think that would be a really cool way to open the movie. I think the movie will end with a group of humans and apes that have splintered from the main group. By the end of the trilogy, man and ape will stand side by side. I don't think you're too far off with that prediction on the end of the trilogy. That being said, if we are truly driving towards a future where apes are the dominant species and humans are nothing but feral creatures, I don't know if that is going to happen. Civilizations change and shift and rise and fall throughout the ages, so this could be a period of time that ends with apes standing standing side by side before eventually falling apart again, and maybe another trilogy after this. So who knows? I think that would be a really cool way to approach it. I think Mae is going to betray Noa. Maybe not in this movie, but there will be hints that she actually wants the downfall of all apes, not just Proximus Caesar's kingdom, so that humans can reclaim the planet. I actually think you are on to something there. Perhaps that could be the cause of why I think that Mae and Noa are no longer allies by the end of this movie. I don't know if that will happen, but I definitely just feel like there's something beneath the surface with Mae, and that's what she's actually wanting to do, and potentially have the entirety of human civilization come back. And I think that's definitely, if not all of her goal, at least part of her goal, but we will see. And finally, we have the last one that I have here as the time of recording this. If you guys end up posting more after this last one, I am not going to see it just because of when I had to record this. So if you posted any more, I'm sorry I did not get to it, but this is the last one that I have here. It's a long one. We got a lot of them here. From least crazy to most crazy. 1. The explosion in the trailer will cause the ocean water to rush into the underground facility Proximus is trying to get into. It will be Apes equivalent to the flood from Noah's Ark. Not a bad prediction, not a bad analogy. Would be pretty cool, we'll see. Noah is not a descendant of Caesar, and his chest mark is more symbolic of his character arc. Noah will get injured where his mark is, making it more noticeable. I actually think you're right on the money there. I honestly think that's far more likely than him actually being a descendant of Caesar. I think that would explain his birthmark / chest mark right there much more than him being a descendant of Caesar would. Number 3, Noah's mark will become part of the Apes mythology, like the mark of the chosen one or chosen by Caesar. I don't know about that. I don't know if it'll become that important, but you know, it could happen. Mae is not an astronaut, and she comes from the underground community. That I completely believe, and I think is going to be the case in the movie. Like I said, I don't think she's going to be an astronaut. I think she's going to come from some other civilization, some other community of humans that survived the virus. Number 5, Mae betrays Noah at some point in the movie. She is not a villain though. I agree. I completely agree. I think there will be some difference between the two of them, some sort of rift or split between the two, not in a malicious way, not in a way where Mae is trying to destroy Noah, she is turning against Noah, but I think she will at some point take her own path, and it will unfortunately mean going away from Noah and his crew, so we'll see what happens. Number 6, Caesar's funeral in a flashback. Many people have mentioned this already, and I think it would be a really cool idea. Don't know if it'll actually happen, but I think it would be a great way to open the movie. Number 7, Andy Serkis cameo. Again, I said there's a very good chance that this happens. Don't be disappointed if it doesn't, but it would be cool if he showed up, at least in a motion capture role. I don't think they'll do it in an actual him being a human role. I think they might save him as an actor for another role later down the line. But again, you know, he could show up, they could show his face, and like someone mentioned, he could be in one of the hunt scenes, so we'll see. Number 8, reference to the astronaut Ulysses Moreau from the original novel by Pierre Boulle. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. You never know. Very subtle romantic undertones between Noah and Mae to the point where it's up to the viewer's interpretation. I'd like to say no, but judging from past Planet of the Apes movies when it comes to relationships between either male apes and female humans or vice versa, we've seen that happen before, so I don't want to say yes, but I don't think you're crazy for thinking it, is all I'll say. Number 10, humans start getting telekinetic powers like the mutants. Probably not, but I think it's fun. No, I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think if they were to get the telekinetic mutants at some point, it would be from the result of a nuclear bomb like it was in the original, and they have not alluded to that happening at all so far, so I don't think we're going to see mutants. I don't think we're going to see telekinetic powers, but you never know. Anything's possible. So guys, those are all of the predictions that you sent in. Those are my thoughts on what you had to say, as well as my own predictions. So if you have any other predictions that we did not go over in here, definitely put them down in the comments, discuss them among yourselves before the movie comes out. Very excited. We just have a few days left. As of the time I'm recording this, I will be seeing the movie tomorrow, just a little over 24 hours from now, and my review will be out on Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. sharp, so you can look forward to that. Till then, thank you so much for checking out today's video here on Ape Nation. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all things apes. I'll catch you in the next one, so until then, goodbye.